Are you a noob that wants to radically get better in the noob lobbies and win the games convincingly? Well, this game is for you. I want to show you this game today and walk you through step by step what a player with a little bit of experience does compared to noobs. I'm going to look at some of the noobish play and perhaps some play which could have worked better against me. So I start off with 3 rovers here. That's my initial contribution, very cheap. We're putting down a couple of solar. The wind has been a little bit erratic to start off with. Solar, of course, being the premium option because they do not cost any energy whatsoever. When you're flat out, build solar. Now I'm putting down an energy storage. Now we're starting to spike up to 16 kilometers per hour. Always try and get down an early energy storage anyway, even if it's going to make us run out of money, because that way we've got 7 times the amount of energy to rely on. Here I've produced one construction vehicle basically on my vehicle lab to boost the build power quite substantially. So that build power's just about doubled with a constructed vehicle on it. And then we send this second one to build our mexes right away because we are really metal poor early on in the game. And that's why you don't want to get too carried away with units. Although I built this blitz early on, that's possibly even too much of an investment considering where I was. Also, my vehicle is taking about 2/3 the mexes that my commander is, even though the commander's got 3 times the build power. I'm trying to get the commander up there even earlier than I would otherwise. And what we're doing is we're gunning straight for this 3.2 mex, which is almost double the mex income of the other metal spots. Also, we've built here a laser turret and a radar. The radar, which I'll reclaim soon. But the laser I'm going to keep here, and that's already taken down one rascal, which could have done substantial damage at the back of our base. Leginio asks the existential questions, why did you take my commander medal? Is what it is. Seemed rather deliberate, the fact it was actually a construction bot diverted to do that. Low poly drifter, what are you doing? We've got a contest early on, and I'm just building this anyway, even though it's taken out. I degunned my own mechs in the panic, trying to take a few grunts with me. But the grunts I'm not worried about at all the pawns against the commander. Not at this stage of the game. Yeah, we can see here Ned Beckett being a really good teammate. Building these Legion guard towers. That's something interesting about this game actually, Legion is here. We've got a run by quite early on. Look how chonker this is. It's a giant missile. I don't know if it's any better. Because we've got reinforcements moving up, it doesn't worry me too much. So currently we've had 3 run-by attacks, you can almost say, or 2 and 1 aggression. Everything's being shut down really easily. And here also, we're getting substantial pressure from the rocket bots. I think only 1 actually. So we're applying to this 1 rocket bot hitting us with 1 Whistler. Showing the Whistler superiority, just dodging rockets. Yanis coming up, absolutely demolishing this line. We've even got a couple of rovers. So it's a bit hard when I play it sometimes to see the effect you're having. I'm just moving my units back and forth while doing other things. That was a lot of pressure. And I'm getting annoyed by this progressive creep of T1 turrets. So we're sending our vehicles against them. And again, I'm having to break them down. Although this one on the hill does look like it's going to get up, unfortunately. It's got this 1 bastion turret on the hill. Getting pressured actually by 2 players. Unfortunately, I've got someone up here with me taking the brunt of the maces. A little bit of miss micro going forward too much. I'm just expecting this tower to get taken down and it's not. So in my hurry, I've actually put a construction vehicle up here. Misclicked on it. You can see they're shooting at everything but this damn tower. I just don't get it why it's such a low priority unit. So at the moment I'm not even aware this is a low OS lobby or anything because the pressure's quite good. But the repair micro perhaps not quite being there with Commander. So I was able to take down that tower in the end very quickly, especially with tasking up my Yanis especially for it. Now we're creeping forward with the beamers. This is a very advanced tactic, right? So they've got sentries, so what? I've got beamers. They're only 200 metal, which is double, and they've got a lot more range actually, and DPS. We see this sort of random patrol of units, and our beamer's just able to punish this all day long. So this would usually confuse my slower projectile firing units, but not anymore. So although it doesn't look like a proper laser line building them forward, it's actually better to support the pressure. I then go back and build a construction turret to ensure we have some auto repair on our turrets, make them really hardy. Now, one thing about walls is, as good as they are against actually shielding your units from rocket attacks, as we can see here, right, firing at my commander, if they're firing at the laser turrets, as long as they can actually visually see it's not on radar, they will automatically aim up and over the wall. So the walls are a funny one to get to use right. They rely on a really high pressure stagnant battle, which I don't tend to have too much, so I'm struggling to demonstrate them in game. As we move forward here, we've got a massive line from Voight, overproducing the T1 units. So back home, I've had this build order of 1 Stout, 2 Yanis, 4 Whistlers to 1 construction turret, and it's made like this mini swarm of construction vehicles, which is great for build power, and now we get to send them out onto the micro eco modules. What's great about this battle being won is I can reclaim this giant metal field of almost 3,000 metal. The whole front, we're sort of on the defensive, the best players over here against possibly our worst players. It seems all relatively even. Interestingly, we've got sprinters coming through. You'd think doing a really good job, but doing bugger all. We're getting attacked by red, so we're being a real rainbow lane, which is proper. Yeah, the walls tanking the odd stray rocket. So the gauntlet living up to its name is the area control plasma, making sure any push on us is pretty expensive. Roguelikes without a care here. I'm keeping a bit of an eye on roguelike. You can see on the radar here, we can see these units. And I'm just making sure they're not getting too close. While I'm over here, we're pressuring to the side. We've taken out behind red here. Because this side's looking sort of weak, I'm trying to get a little bit of pressure exerted over here. I'm assuming without my pressure, this side's going to fall, essentially on the left. A Noobia player such as myself many a game ago would just try and push through and do a run by, but it's deceptively weak for run bys, this force mix, but it's really good against other armies. Like, go figure, hey? Because we well outrange and can hit and run against other armies what they can do to us, but if they manage to outflank us, they can vaporize us in no time. We don't have the amount of tanks needed for a run by. Here we see just how good this army is at hit and run. This huge line of T1, we're trading so well. Even these sprinters, T2 unit, right, should really dominate us. This is from Eco to help shore up the lines. We've got a commander in the middle making up for some of the weakness of these units, despite how good the micro is here from Citrus Lemon. We're just easily able to withdraw from that, but if we were further behind enemy lines, that could have ended us then. More than one player outflanking us. Look at the damage dealt here. We're going really well. 70k. Got about half the damage dealt. Metal produced, we've doubled what other players have got, which is surprising to me because we're a front line. But yeah, just a little bit of diligence with getting those T1s to produce eco and making sure I get that early T2 and then take all the mexes that I'm supposed to. And we've also reclaimed with the commander, we've been busy reclaiming. So it's all added up. See this flanking force come round. Again, our reinforcements saving our bacon. We're here, we've got a bull that's just moved up into this reinforcement area. Now we're seeing this weak spot and how weak this is against attacks through here. So what we're going to do is we're going to build some Dragon's Claws and some light laser towers behind them. And we move forward here. I've got one subgroup for Whistlers and Artillery and another subgroup for Yanis, Bulls and Stouts, who are the screening force for this artillery group. And we've got to keep the screening force moving and like out of range of a lot of the units at times, because these bulls actually got a reasonable range of 460. So we shouldn't really be face tanking them with bulls. That's not their role. They're more of a heavy hound, if you want to think of them. They're actually quite a good unit. This 15 to 20 minute zone, they're really good bulls. So I'm trying to repair them and keep them going. Artillery force has been left to fend for itself, but against rocket bots, we're just fine. We're attacked from the side here. The pressure really is constant. I'm not having any breaks whatsoever. And so you think, well, how can I micro and do everything else? You might ask me, well, the fact is I'm not always looking at this. I'm coming back about every 5 seconds or so to check it out and making sure there's no disasters. I don't want to turn on the player camera to actually show what I'm doing here because it's too jittery to show it, but it's actually pretty quick. So what I'll do is I'll double tap the subgroup like 2 or 3 and then micro it around a bit if needed, and right away come back to what else I was doing. Like you try and just do one thing at a time. Like back here in the base, oh, we need to build some more defenses here. We might be at this view, the more holistic view, so I'm also keeping a bit of an eye on the radar or whatever units can be up here in my periphery, while I sort of have a look, oh, what do I need down here? What is my resources like, for example? It's hard to show it, but there's an idle constructor button down here. I'm looking at these idle constructors and right-clicking to them, and then they will come up. I'm well zoomed out at the moment as we engage this army. We see chaos, so we're sniping that right away. That would be the next command, the commander. Very pleased with ourselves. We're going to try and advance in. Then as soon as I get that little bit of a break, we're having a look at something else down in the base. And I'm having a look over here. What's going down the left-hand lane? I'm seeing how bad that is. So we're sort of just keeping a periphery going as we advance on this attack. Like, see that? We've got a bomber against it. At any moment we could get attacked from any direction. So I'm not getting too far away from this battle at the moment. Microing the commander to build actually a nettle against this air. Just a real desperation move. And then we're trying to support and make a sort of all-round defense for the nettle. We also see this gauntlet's just not getting taken down. I'm having a look down this lane here to see how the attack against us is going. There's sort of nothing we can do though but exert pressure. And I'm thinking this is all over surely, but we might as well exert as much pressure as possible. So I'm being perhaps more aggressive than I normally would. I don't always zoom out this much for the battle because it can be a bit hard to micro specific units, but I'm just trying to get an all-round view. And this allows us to, with the fight command, for us to stand off the units enough as it is without us. See, as I actually micro it, I bring in the camera a little bit further so I can get the bulls just where I need them to be. We've got the gunslingers here. I've got to take them down with D-gun, so we're right close in for that. And also a bit of a worry with the sprinters, we move the commander back. So this is a very intensive micro from me at the moment, but I'm still looking down. I've built something out of my bot lab. I'm checking that I've got some spam or something like that assisting us. Possibly an issue is I'm building no eco at the moment. I'm just trying to micro what I have as good as possible to cause this team to panic. Finally, you see me finally going back to the eco, and I'm going to task up this T2 con to basically take the rest of these mexes. So usually on your screen you'll see the T2 con icon down the bottom around here, and you can right click to them and then task them up. So if you're building T2 mexes with, let's say, this Legion con, you've got to keep in mind what their icon looks like, and every now and again if you do see that pop up, you've got to continue building the T2 mexes. That's obviously pivotal for your economy. We don't have that issue at the moment, more so because we're just metal rich, but still you need to think ahead further on into the game and continue scaling. Over this side here, we've actually see tech finally been able to stabilize this area, but also our pressure has helped and we see no more forces really coming out. Only Canyon was really driving this, and we've been able to keep all these guys tied up. We even see Rockdemy so worried they're coming out to support. So we've only in fact have one player and a defensive player here in Canyon. Ari's going quite well. So Ari has possibly been responsible for this really good offensive against our anti-Canyon. And we've had to take the rest of the team at this time to make sure no more pressure has been provided. And that's what these Mousers do, combined with the screening force of the Bulls, of course. But I'm being under such pressure, I haven't been able to build enough anti-air. Only this nettle. Yeah, and possibly that's the issue with having a repeat command. Now we've put in the shredder. But if we put in the shredder too early, that's 450 metal that could have gone on to 1.5 Mousers. So I tend to not build shredders too early. This game's probably been a weird one in that we're actually getting bombed so much. So let's have a look at the player view here. We can see these on the radar screen, and we're just pretty sure we can take down whatever this T1 army is. And we're using the fight command to stand off them. It surprises us with all these marauders, so we're withdrawing. We see the sprinters move in from the flank. Always well positioned here from Citrus Lemon. Been a real pest, actually. So this should have been easily taken out, no worries, with just the attack from the flank disrupting us. We had to withdraw the bulls just to get out of firing range a little bit, try and conserve them. And our artillery here, 19 of them, just having extreme defense in depth. So if they do take down a few, the rest of them annihilate whatever's attacking us. So again, even though I see some forces here and I'm a little bit worried, we just have to rely on the fact the rest of our team can do something for a change. But a big air attack here. Haven't yet brought up whatever shredders I have, I think. Bit of an issue. So I could withdraw here. And I think Unseen's saying that. And I decide not to, I guess, because I figure I'm going to lose them anyway. But just at the worst possible position, Rock to Me comes forward and does the outflanker with Tigers. Yeah, this is quite horrible, and the bulls on the other side get taken down by snipers. And we can see that as I take off the player view. Just these snipers here being a more central location of red. So really rolled me up in the end. Even though we're sitting on 264,000 damage, which is more than what the rest of the team's doing by far. We did perhaps lose that force just because we got overly aggressive. And what happens is when you get up to about this position, you are tempted to just finally do the run by and take things out, but that's always where you get hit, of course. So if you can not do my mistake and realise at about the 24-minute mark, you're going to get outflanked by Tigers or something nasty, and assume that's incoming, you're going to go far. Yeah, Citrus 11 just said he just lost so much arty, and I did, but it's not the end of the world, and I'll explain why. So it's the 25-minute mark and getting up to it. At this time, I'm finally getting down some reactors, so this is no super eco I've been doing. I actually lost a bit of eco here from that push, so I wasn't defended against it, and we're having to rebuild that now. But we're only sitting on 100 metal a second, it's not anything fantastic. Despite the fact for the team it's actually pretty good, but we are in a noob lobby. So yeah, we're leading the metal by far, but you know, really, we're just being an aggressive front line. We can see that with aggression of 4. And although we have done a lot of damage, we've also received a lot of damage, right? This hasn't just been a one-way fight. Because we're taking on so many opponents at once, we can't expect it to be a one-way fight. Like what Ari done, for instance. We're not doing what Ari done, but we've also done twice as much as Ari. So Ari here really doing a lot of damage with that Banisher force, with the Obscura behind it. And perhaps showing the benefits of Cortex compared to us. This is a much more nimble force than our artillery is. They can just shoot and scoot with these Banishers. The artillery sort of have to set up and retreat without firing. We're at great risk if we push forward. We need to push forward with other teammates to cover our flank a little bit. But yeah, because we're transitioning up to Starlights, that's obsoleted to my mind, the artillery anyway. It's a different phase of the game now. We've stopped trying to be overly aggressive and we're more into hold the line and being a little bit more economical with what we can put forward and protecting it with shredders, well and truly. Also, this is the time I start up with the tick spam, if I haven't already. See how troublesome this force has been from Ari. The long-range artillery just wearing a little bit on the force. Over here, we're getting run into by a heap of marauders, which I don't mind because it's a pretty effective metal trade. A marauder costs basically what a Starlight does, similar enough. So that was a very expensive trade. Look at Ari here. So this is another very effective composition you can do. Pretty much 9 Banishers. We've got a Lasher here for sight. Got a random missile truck. We've got an Omen for radar. A couple of Omens and an Obscura. Firing back on this is of course any snipers. But this force mix can quickly see that and retreat, shoot and scoot. Whereas over on our side, we're effectively held off at the moment with this massive sniper wall. There's little we can do. As we poked forward with the Starlight and that happens. We're a little bit stymied. The Banisher force is actually getting picked off slowly. If you want to fight back on this is not a bad way showing this. Is this Tremor and the rocket bots do outrange this. You do have to micro the forces though, which is hard. When you've got an Obscura hiding things, we can't really see where it's at. So we have to use something to hold this down, like ticks, and we have to actually get some line of sight on this. Or some perimeter cameras or something. We've got to have some method to actually get line of sight. And then what we can do is we can actually anticipate their move and drop down some rockets on them from afar, from the arbiters or the tremors. Whereas this reactionary fire is never going to quite reach them, or just only very occasionally. Over here we're getting a big attack against us, just blew through whatever forces we had there. Mark II. We've got this very effective Bastion from Legion. Absolutely OP what it does. Obsoletes anything below T3 all of a sudden. Citrus Lemon says, what the fuck is that laser? Right on the point with the units and the commentary is Citrus Lemon. A very difficult opponent for me. We've built the pork of porks here. So we've got this big attack from Rocktomy, which is out of Canyon actually. So really rainbowing us hard. We're pushing forward with these Jaguars and the Bastion. They're trying to take it down, but it's just a little bit too much. And even Ari. So we had everyone in the game attacking us then, and look at these Bastions, just took everything down. These sprinters moving forward, they're ridiculous. Fat boys. It is, it's like something off a single player game. And it's why it's so important to have spam running against attacks like this, is just to break up the targeting of the things like fat boys and make sure our defenses aren't getting targeted all the time. Also the Jaguars, another fast response unit that are partway meat shield. Well, not really meat shield, but it's better than my Bastion getting taken down. Good anti-spam. Yeah, so massive tick force like this can only exist, of course, in a noob game at the 30-minute mark, because I just cannot be bothered, because I like ticks myself. So I'm not building a Juno, and Citrus Lemon's making full advantage of that. We can see here as a tech, very diligently supporting the front line. He is not teching up as is usual, which I actually think is better. We can see this come through, instantly taken out by the Dragon's Claws that I've pre-positioned here. So when something happens, like you do get an attack against you from this angle, make sure you reinforce it and assume there's going to be another time that's going to happen. Any weak spot, it doesn't hurt to put down a Dragon's Claw, especially by the half an hour stage. Dragon's Claws are cheap. Quite often people think static defences are here to go and sort of put pressure on the front line almost. They're well far forward and should be actively fighting the enemy. Not really. Static defences should be sitting behind wherever your active fighting's taken place and ensuring there's a backup. So as soon as there's a breach, you're not instantly exposed and having a deep strike against you. Another attack from the Marauders. The Jaguars trying to support, but they're focusing down my Starlights, unfortunately. We do just hold it off. Was a neutral result. But you know what's good? We're facing those Marauders head on rather than them cutting through the canyon and ending up behind us. That's the whole point of me putting these Starlights forward. It's to be a pain and to attract them doing exactly this. For whatever reason, this Pulsar, I don't see this red circle. It just keeps on sniping me. I'm too far forward all the time. And what we're doing at this time, just after the half an hour mark, which I think is a pretty good hallmark for it. So we've got 4 reactors up. We've got T1 economy up. Now it's time for our APHIS blueprint to get put down at the back here. Over here we see a really big attack from Tongue Salesman, the one chef. Who I'm sure with the air that they're playing, this is not their first time playing Bar, let's put it that way. Damn, they're pretty good. Taking down a player here. These Plutos are very effective anti-air. Wow. Without that, we would have lost the game. So always you rely on your teammates playing somewhat competently. It's not always on you if you lose. I love noob games because we can see this just moving together in a really awkward fashion. We got crossbows, we got rocketeers, marauders. I think these guys are all being resurrected by Unseen. And I don't know how he's doing it. He's getting them to all go at this super slow speed and match each other. I'm still a noob, guys, because I don't know stuff like this. Like, they're all matching the fat boy. How do you do it? Tell me in the comments. Is it guard? I've got no idea. So I've got these resurrected units here, just this death ball. It's still vulnerable to so many things, but look how effective it is. This is so interesting. Coming up the side here like this. I don't know if this is effective, but it seems to be. The Marauders just got rolled. The enemy team saying it's over. Very effective bombing run, even though some of them will die. Splits into 3 though. I'm not sure if that's just from deaths. This commander blows up and there's still this death ball here that's mostly alive. Or somewhat alive. It's bizarre. I've never seen anything like this. And I've learned this in a noob game. I've got no idea how it's done. The slow walk. Takes down the construction turrets, at least some of them. I don't know if that was effective, I don't know what to think. So here we are, we're trying to support this as best we're able to, but we can never really get enough units up to do so. The Starlight's too close together. We're hurriedly coming forward with our shredders to try and back off the air support. We're starting to see some long-range artillery hitting us as well. It's good, we're getting supported. Finally at the 37-minute mark, they're starting to step outside their shells. This seems to be the new meta of noob lobbies, I've noticed. There's a real tendency to tank and spend forever warming up. But once the noobs warm up, can actually play quite well. It wasn't me as a noob at all, I was always go, 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 but just with limited economy. So each to their own, I guess, but it does mean you pack a nice punch. I think maybe the computer encourages you to play like this. More of a conservative game. Here we're moving forward with the Jaguars, winding back and forth, finding this little gap here between Gerard and taking out some reactors. We're having to go too close to them because of the Marauder pressure. It's a semi-successful run by. But this team's been very good on the defense. If we actually look at some team damages here, we've got the advantage in damage dealt, but the metal produced, we're the same. If it wasn't for me, our team would have the clear disadvantage in metal produced. Yeah, and I'd actually say we've got the real noob players. If we look at APM here, we've got Nat Beckett, who was quite diligent early on. Actually, not a bad player. We can see here it got decent stats. Hasn't scaled properly, but Nat Beckett is a newer player, so we'd expect to see that. Especially in corner, going to scale much more slowly. But apart from Nat Beckett, we're seeing, I'd say, below par APMs. There's nothing against you guys, we're all here at one stage. But this is the delineator here. Below 24 APM or 25 APM, I'd start considering the player is a newer player or just doesn't care about APM. Whereas the other team, everyone's generally above 24 APM, apart from actually their Red, who's a very good player and very effective with the APM. We can see here 200% efficiency, and someone that's gone. So this isn't a great game. Like, I felt like that. I just felt unsupported this game, and that bears it out. I'm just happy to inherit a team of newer players. Always got the tick spam moving into the enemy team. Not necessarily the most effective thing in high OS lobbies. In low OS lobbies though, it's just disproportionate the amount of pressure that lowly tick spam creates. So here I've been gifted something called a Sol Invictus. Look at this monstrosity. What a unit. Ridiculous. I'm very thankful for this. I've never even seen one before. Here I was thinking Legion just had crappy T3 units and the Sol Invictus comes along. So it looks like it's got the sort of unbelievable fire beam on it. The DPS, that can't be right. That's almost 3000 at its max DPS. Its range is 700, which, you know, standard fare, but quite long for anything else that has to fight it up until the end of T3. The speed is 40, which is actually quite fast. The line of sight is greater than the range, which is really cool at A45. Got really good air line of sight. Wow, that DPS, 23,000. It's got 110,000 life. I think maybe it's not got the greatest health in the world, but that DPS is just unrivaled. And only costs 23,000 metal. Only. We're all sick of this air killing us all the time, so there's anti-air everywhere. My trucks are moving forward. I've got them on a hotkey and send them wherever the air incursion, even at great risk to my anti-air at times. We've got to apply much pressure as we can to the airplay. And AA is really effective at doing that, especially T1. Not sure if that is T1, I have a feeling it is. The airplay is still using. Look at this just burn through the other players. The Razor back here couldn't even take off a few percent health basically. It was killed that quickly. And I'm sneaking around the side thinking I'm pretty cool, trying to get away from the catapult and the majority of the unit response. But we can see the whole team is mobilised against this scary Sol Invictus. We've got this demon come behind us, unfortunately kill our supporting forces. So that didn't work out too well. And I'm having to turn around and take this demon seriously, because this is a very high DPS unit as well. And see, the Sol Invictus keeps on hitting these units which don't matter. So finally I had to turn around and get the laser beam on the demon. Moving back because I'm dying quite quick. It's just this whole team's up against me. Almost 100 kills. I'm not sure if it's been worth the medal, I think it has. But I'm trying to bring them back and just the health just keeps on falling. Look at these sticks! The response to this Sol Invictus is the tick. Smashes it down. I'll lose it. An annoyingly long time to self-destruct. I don't know why, it should just be 5 seconds, like that should be standard. So after that, we're looking at about almost 1 million damage done by the 42-minute mark, which is unheralded. And also damage received is unheralded too, we've certainly taken a lot. But yeah, that Sol Invictus, I felt turned the tide of the battle. Up to then it was pretty locked. We can still see a reasonable number of forces, but it's not an overwhelming amount of forces now. We took down a lot with that. Because we've got to remember the metal advantage is pretty consistent. Over here, we're just starting to scale up nicely now with reaching 300 metal a second. And we're getting out our sillily named Vanguards and our Razorbacks. As someone in the comments observed, Vanguards have a silly name because usually Vanguard is the tip of the spear, as it were, the forlorn hope of the force. The one that breaches. If you meet the enemy first with the Vanguard, you're playing it drastically wrong. It is a sniper. It should be called a super sniper, mega sniper, sniper thorax, you know, just something with sniper in it, I think. I'll tell you what else is a really good sniper and OP. Look at these Olympics. Cost almost 5,000 metal, but they shoot really fast. I think that's better than a normal plasma cannon. Quite nasty. The Bastion here just making this impossible to attack by anything but an unbelievable force. And we now see 3 Bastions on this front. And the pork from Red quite overwhelming with about 4 pulsars. Backed up as well by a solitary catapult. Fully stagnated into Sim City apart from our left. So we can't really apply effective pressure anymore. So we are relying on our team to fire up on the left here. We've got these Praetorians, multi-weapon suit. Another cool unit. Should be able to fend this off nicely. A kinetic weapons platform, the Daedalus. Sounds cool. It's really cool. Legion is so much cooler. I feel it's just a lot more creative units than Armada and Cortex. But I guess maybe we've got some more experimental units. We're seeing exactly the same metal produced between players. So this is a tight game. We've got these plasma deflectors up for quite a while now, we've had them up. The plasma deflectors are more useful than what you'd think, because yes, they are useful against long-range artillery and vanguards. But even against just standard fare units, I think like thugs, maces, hounds, they deflect all of it. I'm not sure about tanks, but geez, they deflect a lot of other projectiles as well, they're quite good. Worth the investment on the front line, static defences. Really, this is a time where Juno comes into play. Just forcing tech to not send so many swarms at us and switch over to pawns. We're not doing anything too differently. I'm sticking with this T2 factory, well into T3 for these 3 units here, the Starlights, the Jaguars and the Shredders. Can just hold a line even at this advanced stage. and any sort of faster T3 unit won't have a lot of success against this. But we've also got a Razorback as well. And I'm starting to produce Centurions here, more as an effective offense against just the swarms of ticks. And I'm getting these to patrol this line where it is an issue. Jaguars are fine, don't get me wrong, but when it's at these levels it helps to have something else as well, just to ensure we don't get overwhelmed by ticks at any stage. Now we're going to see a pretty interesting battle here actually. The Razorbacks coming in from the north team, up against the Starlights, too many of them. We're also getting EMP'd. Now we've got these Centurions, look at it getting repaired. Just tanking the Razorbacks. I don't know if I microed this, but the Centurions there held this back, arguably. They do have a ridiculous amount of health, and we can see the Starlight right up against the Thor here. Unusually tanky for what it is. The Starlight winning the duel, really. And it only costs 1200 metal. They're useful all game, Starlights. If you can afford their energy, that is. So here I'm beginning a siege of this bastion here, which to my screen only has one shield up. And we can see it here, we can only see one shield, right? So I'm thinking, wow, this is vulnerable to about, 7 Vanguards are going to be able to take this down. I don't know why, if this is since the patch, but the Plasma Deflector stays up for a pretty long time. Against 7 Vanguards, much longer than I would have expected. To me it feels like forever, because I'm getting sniped back on rather effectively with Persecutors. And I'm getting this force moving in, so I'm like, hurry up. Finally we break through and take down the Deflector. Although our Jaguars and Starlights are backing up our forces, we're going to be able to take down these Hounds very easily. And we can see also the super broken Legion long-range artillery start to beat up on this now. So that one Plasma Deflector was doing quite a good job. We're now creeping up to 1.2 million damage. Our metal produced with double anyone else's. And that's thanks to this blueprint here firing. Fortunately we've had the space for it because our teammates are not really expanding in their base. Looking at about 500, 600 metal a second. When a game bogs down like this, that's what you have to be doing, is scaling. Particularly up to the hour's time. After an hour, I'm not sure if it's useful scaling because games don't go on much longer than that. They're very rarely go on longer than an hour. Finally, our team started to pull ahead by about 100,000 mil. It's a crazy amount of pulsars. I'm here on this other side with one alive Vanguard at the moment, just trying to snipe back at some of this, which it of course can. Got a ridiculous range on the Vanguard. The DPS on the Vanguard's not bad either at 172. For an artillery unit, it's quite respectable. Yeah, as we could see there, had a very big area of effect also. So slowly we're starting to see some long-range artillery take this down as well. Yeah, that's crazy. And annoyingly, the enemy team erects this Sol Invictus and sends it at us. My poor Centurion force, not able to match up to what the Sol Invictus can do. Look at them getting fried. It's like this demon. Tell you what, I wish I had a experimental lab of Legion. The game would be over by now. Find another Sol Invictus. As good as the Vanguards are, as good as the Titans are, Sol Invictus on a complete different level. Look at it. What a meanie. So we're starting to recognise the fact, but unfortunately they're just an annoying unit. We're marching forward to try and hit it best we're able to. Got an unexpectedly long range. And they've got these Lazarus behind repairing. About 22. We're going to try and surround it, get around its legs like they done to me, but with Jaguars this time. Doing an okay job. Unfortunately, we lose our long-range Tachyon beam fire. This is used correctly. Just sitting off us and pinging us, and getting repaired at the same time. Very annoying. As you can tell by my comments here and squeal. I'm just quite irritated by this thing, how good it is. Already got 70 kills, almost as much as I got before. Starting to get hit by long-range artillery fire. So I've blatantly realised we've got some Titans and moving them up. Now these Titans cost a lot more than one Sol Invictus does. About almost 3 times as much. So unsurprisingly we take it down very quickly. But we've seen the days pass of our teammates unable to deal with the pressure from the North team. Everyone's back on their feet, which hats off to them. In a more high OS lobby, people just would have left. But here we see Tonka, actually on a reasonable economy, 120 metal a second. Got some reactors up. Low poly drifter, the same. I was going to say our eco's got a nice line of aphises up, but realised that's me. Our eco just been a little bit more conservative. I like these amount of air repair pads. It looks cool. I'm not sure if it's effective, but it looks cool from our air. Canyon not really scaling up appreciably. I feel like that's all Canyon's sort of done is defend, but maybe I'm wrong there. They did do a really good job of resurrecting units and pushing forward as this death ball before. Actually, Nat Beckett's been very handy, just hasn't scaled. So we're moving forward with the Titans here, which is a bad habit of mine. Citrus Lemon, again their best player by far, come forward to try and punish us and our hubris. They actually take out one Titan, annoyingly. And Jaguar's just in time to head off the commander from any further pressure. The reason we were pushing forward though was to take out a lot of snipers and difficult long range units. And particularly if you remember here, there's a lot of pulsars here. So I've taken down that pork that was really controlling the whole centre. Sometimes people don't understand why I sacrifice Titans, but if you've got the metal there, they're there to be used. As long as you can accomplish your objective, of course. But those pulsars aren't coming back quick. Also, we had this line behind the Titans of about 7 starlights, making all the difference in the world. We can see this Sol Invictus coming up from our tech. He says, battle will end when I arrive there. Yeah. Look at this. The Sol Invictus, you should have massive self-confidence when you build one of these. Let's see how it goes against one Titan. Unfortunately, this beam has a mind of its own. Chaos 247, getting a little bit too close here. The Sol Invictus, it's going to get taken down, I think. Yeah, there we go. Oh no. Nothing stands against the D-gun. Over our side, I'm showing the use of multiple Tachyon beams here. We're getting taken down pretty fast too, because this is a lot of Titans to face off against. But the Starlights just make sure we win the battle in the end. And focus fire too, of course. The Razorback coming up to ruin our party. Taken down in no time at all. Over this side we see Canyon protruding forth with another death ball. And we're able to, with this one distraction and these Titans being diverted from Voights, we've been able to get around and target some eco. Always the issue with fighting on your eco front line is one mistake and it's all over. Now we're going to push forward. The commander being kept busy over here with the Behemoth and the Sol Invictus. Although it's annoying we keep on targeting, I am actually microing the eco over here like all get up. Stop firing at this other Titan. And there we go, Citrus Lemon, who has played a magnificent game for a 3-Chev. I wish I could play like Citrus Lemon at 3-Chev. Although we don't necessarily see it on the board, I'm aware of what Citrus Lemon has done. That's pretty much GG's. We've got about a third of the team's income, which is not bad for frontline. We've had this space to really build this 11 APHIS, which is all you need. You don't need any more than 11 APHIS. Another Sol Invictus coming through. Takes down a T2 lab in about 2 seconds. Look at it splits and targets multiple units with its fireband. It's like 2 bastions in one. Look at this static defense bastion. This is overpowered, come on. That's no contest. We're going to play Legion every opportunity if this is on the roster. Voights defending to the last minute, as is proper in a noob lobby. All the Titans doing a really good job at holding on. Some of our ticks are starting to get through though. We can see again how good Starlights are getting through the plasma deflectors, of course. Just wearing quickly on these Titans from afar. The shield's staying up a remarkable time considering the amount of fire that's coming into them. There we go. Finally they weaken and the whole base goes. Easy bull. I actually just about didn't get it because red was so economical. But look, the next economical play was Airy at 1/5 the economy. I felt that was about the easiest bull I've ever gotten. And it's because I'm in a noob lobby, right? It's nothing other than that. It's not my play. But I have got a build that's quite good. It's on my website, detailed to the finest degree you can imagine. I'm going to link it in the description. Here's the preview. I'm going to throw it up on the screen here. So if you're newer to the game, follow this build. Look at what I do. Try and micro things okay. You can even make a mistake. It's a very forgiving build. But if you run with it, you'll get bulls like this and you'll have a really good time in these noob lobbies. So we can see here in the end, just for comparison's sake, we've got 300, or what's this? 3.8 million of destroyed enemy resource production. The next runner-up was our tech with all those T3 units at 1.3 mil destroy unit resource production. Destroying enemy units and defenses, we're about 4.3 mil. Whereas Void, with all those Titans and actually quite a good eco, coming up at 2 million. And Red with all those Pulsars coming up at 1.75 million. Despite our massive economy, we still had an efficient use of resources. And then we can also see down here, we produced the most resources and took the most damage. If we actually look at it, it's not even close in the end. And that's just thanks to blueprints, guys, and just having a mind to scaling. Didn't have to sacrifice the unit production really that much. Just recognise when the game bogged down a little bit and there's no point us continuing to feed the enemy at that point. So I just sort of pulled back a little, made sure we had plenty for defences, still kept a forward position with Starlights and Jaguars who are very metal efficient and bothersome. So we weren't doing nothing as far as pressure goes. And then we transitioned into Titans, which have the hit points to just carry through a decent attack and take down the Pulsars, for instance. Not just completely waste our time trying to push forward with Starlights and Jaguars, which won't have the hit points to do the job. But they're an excellent backup force for the Titans, of course. Watch my blueprints video for how to produce blueprints like this. You'll pick up different bits and pieces as you go along, but none of this is anything outside of the videos I explain what I'm doing. There you go, take my build, guys. Hopefully you found this somewhat entertaining today. I'm pumped for the new Legion units. I think a Sol Invictus will be game changing if it actually hits release of Legion. I'm not even going to bother with the Cortex and Armada anymore. I'm just going to turtle up till the Sol Invictus comes on board, just because it's such a fun unit. But thanks very much for watching, guys. Like and subscribe if you took something away from this, and see you next video.